Hello everyone, this is HTSCS here, back with some more Wings of Liberty Starcraft 2 action. This is from the BWC, put on by Blizzard. Again, $100,000 for first place. Second place actually rakes in $40,000, which is more than first place for most tournaments. So these players currently in the group stages of the tournament, and actually Idra was in the same group as Stefano, but unfortunately the games between Stefano and Idra were not in the replay pack. So if anyone finds the games from Idra versus Stefano, definitely send them on over. I don't know if they got lost in the shuffle or exactly what happened, but either way, this should be a pretty epic matchup as well. Down in the bottom left side, it is indeed going to be EG's Idra, someone who I love to cast, but I haven't cast recently on my channel. And up in the top right side, it is going to be RoRo. No, that is not R-O or O. His name is indeed RoRo, and I do have to say, he is from Brood War. I do remember casting him back in the day during Brood War. He was a mediocre Brood War player, kind of running in the middle of the line at the start of his career. Is a bit of a rocky start, as it tends to be for players playing Brood War, and then eventually kind of was a kind of an ace player for team We Made Fox. That team eventually did band up, and now he disbanded, and now he is on team Samsung Khan, which is a team that's been around for a very long time and is now transitioned into StarCraft 2. So haven't seen any major results from RoRo here, but obviously he has qualified for this tournament, which was very competitive over in Korea for those qualifying rounds, and would love to, of course, make a name for himself here in StarCraft 2. Now, it's kind of interesting because middle-of-the-line Koreans back in the day of Brood War were still far, far, far better than the best of the foreigners. So they've had a lot of practice. He's been in a team house for a long time. He has been in that training environment. And even the worst B-teamers on Korean teams back then would still always crush foreigners, just because, number one, Brood War, I think, had a much higher skill ceiling for mechanical stuff, but also they had those team houses for like a decade over the players back then. I don't know if there was a single team house for Brood War back in the day. I know EG didn't have one at that point. I don't think any of the teams were big enough outside of Korea to have their own team houses. So it's very impressive when someone can compete with the Koreans, especially players who have been around since the beginning of basically competitive gaming. Now, right now, we do have similar builds going on here. Idra's getting the spawning pool right at the same time that RoRo is. You should see them finishing up right around the same times here. A couple of seconds later here for RoRo, but overall, not that big of a deal. Taking a look at the units here, you can see same amount of drones, yada yada. So double queen on the way right now. It does seem like Idra being a little bit more efficient with his mineral income, able to get those queens slightly earlier, able to get the drones slightly earlier, and able to get the spawning pool just a little bit earlier. But I gotta say, in ZvZ, I kind of love seeing them do the exact same openers, because you a lot of times will be able to see more awesome games. ZvZ can be very interesting, but sometimes it can also be extremely boring, because you'll see early baneling timings that just end up killing everything. You'll see mass ling in the early stages, where they literally are just like, you know what, I'm going tier 1 all day, and if it doesn't work, then I'll see you in game number 2, because that's basically their only backup plan. And, you know, they can definitely be short, but they can also be extremely long, which is very rare. Probably one of the rarest late game matchups that we see. But I'm kind of fingers crossed here that we're going to be seeing something like that, considering that both players went for early expansions, both players going for a defensive baneling nest here, and looks like even Idra going to be going for a spine crawler, so he is definitely ready to turtle power should he need to just sit back and macro up on the back of this, because right now, I mean, with the spine crawler there, the baneling nest in front, did RoRo put his baneling nest in front as well? Yes, he did. So again, both these players putting them in defensive positions. Not really trying to hide the tech, but more like, hey, if you come up here with a bunch of Zerglings, you're going to get detonated on. Now, we do have a lair tech going to be on the way here for RoRo, and we shouldn't actually see that much action here for quite some time, just because you see the baneling nests are done now. Well, there's also no Zerglings on the field, so what that means is that that's just for a defensive single for second Zergling to be turned into a baneling, should they absolutely need to do that. And right now, I mean, kind of sit back, grab some popcorn, and get ready, because we even have similar timings on the double gas. We have similar timings on the lair tech. You can see Idra opting to go for the gas earlier, lair later, and opposite for RoRo, where he's already, RoRo's getting the gas later, but he has the lair earlier. So slightly different, but even now, not altering their builds that much. It does look like Idra going to be going for some roaches here. If nothing else, he will be getting out that Roach Warren, and I think that that's something that's very, very important in this matchup, because Roaches tend to be good for the entire duration of the game. Really, I mean, they're just a good unit to have, especially if you're going for Infestors or Mutalisks, which are a very standard mid-game transition. Then you need to have Roaches there to kind of use some of those extra minerals that you're going to have. You won't have a whole lot of gas left, which is why the Roach is an absolute perfect unit in that situation. RoRo going to be going for the Spire here. Idra, what's he going to be going for now that he has the lair tech completed? We're just going to have to wait and see. Well, it looks like he's going to be starting with the Glial Reconstitution first, which means he is going to be relying on Roaches here quite heavily. A couple more Zerglings going to be on the field here as well. But overall, just minor skirmishes going to be taking place here back and forth. We do see Idra actually going to be throwing down an Infestation Pit, which this is something that's very interesting in this matchup. Is sometimes you'll see players, one will go Infestation Pit, one will go Mutalisks, and it really comes down to the positioning of the Mutalisks and how much harassment you can do that dictates who ends up winning the game. Because Idra is basically going to be sitting there waiting for those Mutalisks to swoop in so he can fungal growth them, which Baneling right there, you got to watch out, RoRo, as the Baneling right there unable to detonate consistently on that army, and so far actually not detonating at all. Does get a couple lings there, and another couple right there, but overall that is going to be favoring Idra. Didn't kill as many Zerglings as he would have liked to with those Baneling hits, but it honestly doesn't matter because the Queens are going to be cleaning that up, and you can see 3 kills there on that Queen, 2 more Banelings on the way. Keep in mind that these are damaged Zerglings here, so they will be basically turned into full health Banelings there, so being very efficient with his units, even down to the individual Zergling there, getting the weakened ones first. Now the Mutalisks are going to be on the way here pretty soon. You can see that they are not on the field just yet, but 6 are about to pop, and if Idra does not have his Infestors ready to go, he could be in a lot of trouble, but he does have 5 Spore Crawlers on the way, plus he has the Infestation Pit, and he's got quite a few Queens here as well. He is going to be up to 4 Queens for 3 hatcheries. Not bad. Not bad at all. So Idra, I would say, has the good position here, unless he ends up losing a lot of his units to these Zerglings. Right now, the answer looks like he will not. Yes, he will lose a Queen, but you can see he began rebuilding that Queen right away. The Roach is going to be able to clean up the rest of this. So RoRo not able to get that much momentum going, but he will be able to kill off some Overlords here. And this is going to be 2 Overlord kills, plus there's a 3rd one over here at the 3rd base and a 4th one in the top right. So 4 Overlord kills would be pretty nice. But at the end of the day, if he doesn't commit with these, if he doesn't do some sort of harassment, then there's basically no reason to have made them. So killing off the Overlords is a good start, but it's going to take more than that to really make this worth it. He's going to go straight for the Creep Tumors. Actually manages to get them, almost loses a Mutalisk for that, which would have been a complete waste at that point, because Creep Spread is kind of weird in ZvZ because it's good for the defending player, but also good for the attacking player. So definitely something to keep in mind. And the Mutalisk count is not ridiculously high here. So if Idra's hoping to rely just on pure Fungals alone to win this game, he's going to be disappointed, because there's not that many Mutalisks there. They're not going to be that clumped up. Even if he Fungals those, is it going to be worth it with so few Mutas on the field? Because we do see a transition now for RoRo into the Infestors, into Burrow, into Pathogen Glands, all the stuff that Idra mostly already has, but has been more aggressive with how he's gotten that tech. Now these Mutalisks, if they can kill off, I think one of the Overlords already went down in the bottom right side, but if you can kill off the Overseer on the top right side, that is going to be quite worth it. If we take a look at the units lost here, you can see 850 to 975. So the Mutalisks have evened it out a little bit, but the important thing to remember is that even though the units lost may be more even, the units tab shouldn't be, if I'm doing my math correctly. Yep, you can see 8 Infestors on the way, which is much more useful than 8 Mutalisks, and that means that Idra is going to be quite a bit ahead right now. Yes, the supplies are about the same. Yes, the expansions are about the same, but it's the unit composition that's really going to make or break this game. Even drone count's going to be the same right now. Larva count almost the same. So I think, honestly, that Idra is just going to have a straight-up advantage here unless he gets his Infestors out of position and they somehow get killed off by the Mutalisks, which is very, very rare because Mutalisks tend to clump so heavily that's very easy to actually prevent them from doing anything, because you just fungal them and they all die, which makes them slightly less useful if you don't have them anymore. Now, the Mutalisk count still staying very low. We do have a Hydrost in for both players, so it's kind of interesting because almost identical openers. Oh, no, the Fungals on the Mutas. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Idra's going to be feeling phenomenal about this. Idra able to take out all those Mutas. Goodbye. Simultaneous explosions. That awkward moment, man, when those Mutalisks just have to sit there looking at each other and they're like, well, this is it. This is all that's left, is to wait here for the Fungal to kill us off. A couple Zerglings down here are trying to delay the expansion. They'll get cleaned up easy for breezy by RoRo. But I gotta say, the fact that RoRo has a 4th base nearly completed is great. but he ended up losing a lot of stuff there. You can see the drone right there also taking a second to actually go ahead and kill that, or go ahead and build there. And it looks like the poor Overlord gonna try and get away. I forget, can they actually outrun these? 0.94 on those. Nope, they cannot outrun Infested Terrans, so able to snipe that down. 2 Infested Terrans able to kill that easily. And we do have lots of upgrades on the way. We are going to have the Groove Spines right now for both players trying to get out Hydralisk. As I was trying to say before, they went identical openers, then they deviated a little bit, getting a handful of Mutalisks before the Infestors, and now they're back to almost going the exact same thing. The upgrade timings are similar on those Groove Spines. You can see Idra is behind in the range attack upgrade. Not that big of a surprise, though, because they have varied their builds just a little bit. Plus, his 4th base is going to be a little bit more delayed than RoRo. You can see RoRo going for the double gas here, so he has 6 additional drones on gas, which is going to help him out greatly, unless his roaches get stuck here. So they're going to get trapped. Not quite sure what this counterattack was all about. I think he was trying to sneak in there, but he definitely got caught with his pants down, even though roaches don't wear pants, and does burrow right there to begin regenerating. Remember, when roaches burrow, they do regenerate HP very, very quickly, so a nice little trick there to go ahead and burrow those to try and get a little bit of an edge in some way. Although currently Idra already maxed out. That can show you just how important every single step of the build is, because Idra's already maxed out while RoRo's struggling to try and get maxed out. It does like these ones down here may get taken out, as there is an Overseer somewhere. I guess it's not with this army right now, but these roaches narrowly surviving here. It looks like the Overseer may survive for now, and Idra deciding not to kill it. There it goes. Is going to go ahead and force that one down. But here's a big, big attack. It looks like RoRo has the superior concave. He's got a lot of Infested Terrans, but he is getting bungled like crazy. The concave for Idra now is starting to actually favor him here. He is pushing it back, but more and more Infested Terrans lobbed out for both of these players, as ZvZ battles tend to actually be ridiculous. Idra is managing to push on through without having an upgrade advantage. And where is he getting all this extra money from? RoRo does not have enough to reinforce this, is going to end up losing this expansion. And you got to remember that that is quite a bit of units lost, as he lost the hatchery, he lost the 2 extractors, which takes 3 drones, and then he lost a lot of his army there. Somehow Idra wins that battle. I guess his units are just better, as they seem to have similar unit compositions, but at the end of the day, it looks like RoRo way, way, way on the back foot here. He's only got 2 Hydras versus the 13. Heavy machine gun Hydras, man, just blasting away roaches all day. Looks like RoRo may be able to hold this off for now, but it is not going to last. More and more reinforcements on the way. Non-stop roach reinforcements from the main base. RoRo's line is crumbling and crumbling fast. He doesn't have enough Hydras here to hold this off, and he does have a lot of Infested Terrans going out, but it is, I guess it's not even that many. That's only 5. Not enough energy on the Infestors, and there's the GG. Idra is able to beat one of the Korean players in this tournament, but it is still a best of 3, which means there is game number 2 just around the corner. RoRo, I think, got a glimpse of Idra's playstyle there. He's probably has learned a lot from that. I do want to go back really quickly to those of you who are still watching and see exactly what went wrong in that battle. I thought for sure that RoRo was going to be able to hold that off, but of course it didn't end up being that way. Now, it's no surprise that he ended up losing the 4th base, because he did take that very aggressively. And we saw a big battle right here, which let's go ahead and pause here. And let's go back like 10 seconds. Come on, there we go. All right, 14 seconds. Close enough. Close enough, game. And this is right before the battle starts. So let's take a look at the numbers. We do have 10 roaches, 9 infestors, and Idra having way, way, way more roaches. I didn't realize this. 36 roaches to 25. While the drone count is going to be favoring RoRo, that doesn't help him in this straight-on battle. And he also has less Hydralisks, which probably played a huge, huge role in this battle. And so, he just had less roaches, less Hydras, and even though his upgrades were at 2-0, it was not enough. So we're going to watch this one in slow motion. And just keep an eye on the supplies here, on the unit counts. And really, the Hydras right here, all of these ones getting bungled was kind of, I think, the deal breaker, because that's just so much damage on those Hydras for free. And honestly, RoRo right here needs to be fungling this army. He does manage to grab one right there. There goes down the second fungal there. It might have been just a too little, too late type situation. Take a look at the units tab, though. 13 Hydras to 3. So Idra able to retain those Hydras while RoRo was forced to retreat. And keeping the Hydras alive is huge. You can see 4 kills on that Hydra, a single kill there. They just do so much damage. 4 kills on that one. Their DPS is absolutely insane. And very, very good in this matchup. If you get more Hydras than your opponent and they have no other way of effectively dealing with them, then you can crush on through quite easily. This is one of the matchups where Hydras are still actually utilized. And I wouldn't say they seem overpowered, but definitely the person with the most Hydras is going to end up winning these types of battles. So great game to Idra. Let's see if we can actually seal out the deal 2-0 in the next game. Hope you guys enjoy it, and I'll see you guys next time.